Welcome to the Why We Started podcast, the show that gives business owners a platform to share the real story behind their brand. I'm your host, Vanessa Grace, and each week we dive into the why behind the business. Whether it started from a passion, a problem, or a random what-if moment, this is where we explore what makes your business different from anyone else in your industry. Because behind every business, there's a story worth sharing. Welcome back to the Why We Started podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grace, and today's guest is Dr. Jon D'Cruz. He's the owner of D'Cruz Chiropractic Center in Jacksonville Beach, a chiropractor who's passionate about helping people feel seen, cared for, and supporting in their healing. So welcome, Jon.
Thanks, Vanessa. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so excited to hear more about your story. So take us to what decided you to start your practice yourself and what pushed you to that leap.
Yeah, so I originally, when I went to chiropractic school, was kind of going through the whole process and just excited to be in the profession. So I didn't really have any initial ambitions or thoughts about starting my own practice. I figured my path would be more so I would find a good professional fit and a good team and a good group that I could kind of grow with and would identify with the kind of ways I wanted to practice and the way I wanted to help people. And that would be kind of, just the path my career took. So after I graduated school, I did end up working at the same place for almost over 6 years, about 5.5 years. And I spent a lot of time there and I got to get really familiar with the patient care that I was and the patients that I was working with. I got to a point where I got very connected to the outcomes with patients and wanting to see them not only get better initially, but continue to maintain progress over a long period of time. And as I spent more time there, I realized that, I think I kind of reached a point where I wanted to just do a little bit more with people than what I was kind of given to work with at the place I worked with. Don't get me wrong, I got a lot of great experience there. It was a great stepping stone and a point of development for me. And then I think I just reached a point where I had to feel like I needed to challenge myself a little bit more and do something different. I kind of saw some of my former mentors and colleagues. They branched out and they were able to start their own practices. They built their own brands. And I saw the kind of effect that had on people. And I kind of wanted to do the same thing for myself. So I, took some small steps in the beginning. And then, come November 2024, I decided to make the leap and go full time into my own office. So that's kind of, the origin part of it.
That's cool. So have you always wanted to be a chiropractor, or what even drawn you to chiropractic in the first place?
Yeah, I was, probably one of those people that goes through high school and college and, we all tell ourselves, I'll figure it out later. One day I'll know what I want to do and it'll just hit me. So you kind of, go through, all the classes, the general stuff you're taking. I was an exercise science major when I was at Florida State. And I basically just figured, okay, this will transition to a health professional. Yeah, I think initially, I kind of ventured into the PT route. That was something that I was looking at. And after I graduated school, I didn't really have necessarily an immediate plan to jump to something right away. So I kind of went to a hospital. I worked as a, kind of just doing some basic transport work when I was there. And I kind of got my foot in the door to get a feel about, the different specialties and the different things that maybe I could transition to one day. And it turns out I didn't want to work in a hospital. Kind of what I learned from being at the hospital. So what I actually kind of was a random occurrence was that my neighbor actually happened to be a chiropractor. And one day when I was out walking the dog and I just kind of stopped and talked to him in the yard because, my mom actually was like, yeah, he's actually a chiropractor. You should, talk to him and see what he does. I don't know much about that either as far as her familiarity with it or maybe mine not even really being familiar with it myself. So yeah, I got to have a conversation with him and he invited me to shadow his office and just kind of see some patient flow and just kind of how his day-to-day operation went. And I got a chance to do that a few times and I really had a good experience with it. So, did a little bit more research. Kind of saw just some different specialties and some different niches of kind of how chiropractors can practice and the populations they treat, and the fact that it was a health profession, but also more so a wellness profession. So it kind of got me out of the mindset of, oh well, I was kind of focused on this hospital and this traditional healthcare model that I was working within all this time, but I actually see an avenue of, hey, I can make a difference and help people doing something that I think is more fulfilling, and I think for me personally, that's what I was looking for at the time, and I kind of just took the steps and went from there.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel like it's cool that like just you're just literally having a conversation with someone and you're able to like, you know what, I mean, just change gears completely and go into chiropractic. I feel like there are different chiropractors that do different things, and I feel like everyone kind of has, like you're saying, has their own specific niche. So what do you feel like is like kind of what you've been trying to go towards for your business?
Yeah, so the thing that I was doing a lot of, it was a lot of high volume and a lot of quick treatments and short patient interactions. And for them, that served the purpose that they wanted to, because that's the company and that's just how they operated. And for me, initially, after I kind of got familiar with that process, and I thought that it was something that helped me get a lot of experience, I also started to learn that I felt like I was leaving a little bit to be desired, and that I felt like there was more to offer people. And obviously, I had a lot of education and some training that I had done specifically that I really didn't get to apply at the place, because you're kind of just operating under a company's terms. So, I mean, that's part of it. When you have a job, that's just sometimes, you eat the humble pie and you just do the work and you just kind of keep chugging along, and, you just you get to a point one day where you're like, all right, well, I think I've kind of maxed out the ceiling of what I can do with this. And I think I want to offer a little bit more to people. So, kind of, seeing some of the people that I work with previously, maybe some former colleagues, some mentors, and seeing kind of how they, built some practices, and started to kind of diversify a little bit more and offering more physiotherapy, more rehabilitation aspects of care, and how they added that to what they were doing with traditional chiropractic care. I thought that that was something that was definitely a way and a path that I could kind of look at and take and start to kind of go on my own way, essentially.
Oh, cool. So basically, you're finding ways to kind of provide more of like a personal experience with your chiropractic care.
Yeah, for sure. I think with what I'm doing, I'm able to basically, I think when you have a high volume practice and it's walking based, it's kind of hard to do those things. So I like to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of time to do a thorough exam, consultation, and whatever treatment we think is most appropriate for a patient when they come in. So, not everyone's going to be the same, so we don't want to take a cookie cutter approach. We have different aspects of whether it's manual therapy or whether it is just basic stuff, physiotherapy stuff like scraping, cupping, taping, any actual chiropractic manipulation, all those kinds of treatments that we offer. And we try to find the combination that works best for each individual person based on each case, because everyone's going to be a little bit different with where they're at and what they present with. So it gives us a way of making sure it's more individualized
Hmm.
for each person. So I feel like by having an ability to blend different approaches, it's given me the ability to provide a more enhanced patient experience. So I've enjoyed that part of it. It's you take the stuff that and your experience, and then you start to add things that are in your toolbox, and you break out of the mindset of doing what you're used to doing. And
Right.
there's a comfort zone aspect to that, but for sure for me, it was definitely something that I've enjoyed doing, because I can kind of see how it's able to have a positive effect on people.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's kind of cool. Definitely that one-on-one experience with your chiropractor. You know that anytime any patient that comes into you, they always get you. Like there's no a lot of times with bigger chiropractors, sometimes you come in and you're like, okay, is it the same person or is it someone different just because of how big their office is, which is not bad. It's just different. So
For
I
sure.
think that's kind of cool that they'll always get you, but then they also not just get adjustments. There's more that they could get out of their experience with you.
Yeah, ultimately that's kind of what I was aiming for, and like I said, you start somewhere with everybody, and you just try to just figure out the combination that works. It's not an exact science, and the process of when you work with someone, it's not always linear with how they might respond to care, but you just kind of try to make sure that you use the resources that you have to be able to help that person the best you can. So that's the fun part about it, but I've enjoyed it. It's been since November, so about like almost a whole year now.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've gotten to see some great progress with a lot of people, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like what kind of patients are kind of like your ideal people to come in.
I honestly don't really put a limit on it. I'm open to treating patients, whether it's a small infant all the way to our elderly populations, and anywhere in between that. So we see people that are adults, and they have families, and they do regular have regular work activities and occupational hazards of, where they sit all day or they're doing a lot of physical labor. We have young high school, or I'd say elementary, high school level athletes playing youth sports. And so we kind of have a good diverse population of, the people that we see. But again, we just try to kind of figure out approaches that make the most sense for every individual person because, there's going to be some similarities in your consistency of approach, but there might be some differences, between each individual too. So yeah, we definitely see a good amount of everything, but it's fun.
That's good. What kind of like feeling do you want your patients to have when they kind of like come into a session?
Yeah, I definitely want people to feel comfortable. I know with chiropractors, especially, people can, whether they've been a long time patient or, it's their first time ever doing it, you can get a number of different kind of, responses and reactions to that. I try to, limit the overbearingness of it to where people don't feel like I'm just a physician that's just going to tell them what to do. And if they don't do it, then something bad's going to happen or something like that. I try to remove like the white coat syndrome aspect of it. And on a side note, I'd never wear a white coat. It's just not me. I think that, I looked like a mad scientist or like some person dressing up for Halloween. Personally, it's okay if you love the white coat. It just never was me, so I never got into that. But yeah, definitely just trying to find where people are at when they come in for the first time. You don't want to try to impose too much on them, but you also want to be a resource to them. So when they come in, you find out where their comfort level is, and you take into account they might have had other experiences at other doctors' offices, and you try to let them know that you're there as a resource to help them get to where they want to get to. So goal setting super big anytime a patient comes in for the first time because it gives us purpose with what we're working towards. So we understand that, there's every time they're coming in for treatment or they're doing any kind of therapy in the office, there's a direction that we're moving in to try to get them to where they want to go. So definitely just like I said, we want to find the comfort level in that, but we also want to build the trust with it too. So yeah, just talking to people like normal human beings and not trying to, act like there's like a status level above them or something like that. But I'm given the ability to know that they can talk to you and they can be open with you, and you can kind of figure out which ways you can help them to the best of your ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like that chiropractic care is one of those health professions where either you are such a believer in it or you are like either had a bad experience or it was like you hear all the bad things about like, oh, I don't want to like hear that cracking noise or something like that.
Yeah,
Just there's just that fear, right? That people have about chiropractic.
for
It's
sure.
just, it's just always there. How do you feel if someone comes in and they're kind of skeptic, or even they just kind of reach out to you, but they're not necessarily want to know if they should go in or not? Like, what do you do with like the people that are like the fearing of chiropractic?
Yeah, I mean, you can change people's experiences and what they know and what they've seen. You can, I mean, that's always going to be a part of the equation for them. Whether it was a good experience or a bad experience, you just got to kind of understand that it's a kind of a clean slate when they're coming in to see you. And just, again, you got to find out where the boundaries are too, because it's easy to kind of want to impose, your own style of treatment on them and, do the same thing for everybody. When I say everyone's different, I know I use that term a lot. Everyone really is different. So we kind of identify, where the triggers are, where the fear is, with the intensity of the pain they might be in. You got to try to kind of figure out how to find a starting point and then try to find some building blocks where you can get them to a place where they're, making some consistent, steady progress over a period of time. So yeah, you can't, pretend that the cracking sound doesn't freak them out because that could be a trigger for them of sorts. I try to be honest with them too. Like if you've seen videos, if you've had an experience with a chiropractor previously, you might find some similarities with what we're doing to that, but there's going to be some things that are different. I always let them know to make sure, when we're doing any type of treatment or any type of exam, you let me know if you ever feel like, there's anything that's uncomfortable or if you're a little squeamish about something. And we establish those boundaries early on. And that way we can make sure that we're kind of figuring out ways that we could either treat around it or build up to the point where we're actually able to tolerate it a little bit better.
That's good. No, I mean, I feel like that's great to find that have those boundaries in the beginning for sure. But honestly,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
what goes through your head really when like someone says like or someone like cracks your neck in front of you or like, oh yeah, I always like crack my neck, like when you're at parties and like you talk to someone, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
and they like keep it like that.
And they'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll do
you're
it.
like
And they'll
you're
do it
like
right then and there.
well, yeah, what goes through your head when that happens?
I just tell them get out. There's nothing I can do for you now. No, we try to work on the habits of it. Yeah, we try to. You can kind of educate them on the differences between them doing what they're doing and then you actually kind of performing what an adjustment should be. I would tell them to trust a professional because I mean this is what we have our training and our expertise on.
Right.
We've done this tens of thousands of times. For a lot of us, when you see a chiropractor for the first time and they have experience with it. But it's also different because the natural tendency when you crack yourself or you put yourself in those twisty positions is you'll feel the relief of a pop. But what you're doing is you're probably straining a lot of tissues and you're making a sound and you're actually addressing the issue that's contributing to why you're feeling achy and stiff. So that's why we do a full exam, we do a history, we actually assess your range of motion and do orthopedic and neuro tests just to make sure that we're identifying the areas that are problem areas and identifying the areas that do need to actually have actual attention to, restoring some of the motion that might not be there. And it's different. So, you might see a video of it or you might see people get adjusted and they might think it's a lot of twisting and WWE SmackDown moves. But what we're doing is we're actually identifying the areas that really need that kind of movement and need that kind of a therapy and treatment. And it's a little bit more specific. I'd say a lot more specific than when you do it yourself. So
That's cool. I mean, I feel like you hear the, I feel like, what am I trying to say? Like the slang version is like you are cracking people, but that's not the right term. It's like
it's
you're
okay. It
getting
doesn't bother me if
adjustment.
you say that. It's okay if you say that.
No, I
No,
feel like
I've
that's
never
not the
been
right
too.
terminology. It's getting an adjustment, right?
It's 2025. We're allowed to say crack. It's totally okay.
I
If they
feel
don't
like
like
crack
crack,
has
they
another
could do.
meaning to it.
It's okay. No, no, it's okay. But I know what you mean by that. Yeah, no, we just like I said, you can only educate people on the actual what's going on. And, I have a spine model. I'll kind of show them, you can actually see individual joints. We have 33 vertebrae, we have 206, bones in our body. There's joints that form between all of them. And this is, the kind of motion that's associated with it. And when this
Hmm.
motion is restricted, it's, either because the joint's stiff, we have tight muscles. There's a lot of things that go into it. So
Right.
you take the presentation of the patient in front of you, you correlate it with what, the actual exam findings are, and then you kind of just figure out what treatments might make the most sense for them. So and again, when it comes to, hey, I don't like the cracking of any kind, if that's something that someone's not comfortable having, we might not even do that. So we might focus more on, hey, how do we, use a little bit of fear here, but try to do some treatment. We might do more stretching. We might do more passive therapy with them. We might take out and do some more soft tissue physiotherapy with them with any scraping or cupping or any pin and stretch manual therapy. So there's so many different ways we can approach it, and we try
Right.
not to just limit it to the one box of saying, hey, you have to get cracked, you have to do this, otherwise we can't help you. So we expand it a little bit more.
No, that's great. Like we said, there's like that fear of the sound sometimes for some people they could be getting triggered, but also too like if
Yeah,
they were to crack their neck at home, there could be injuring themselves later. There's definitely people that will
yeah,
say that like they'll move themselves, then they feel sore like later on, but they felt
yep.
good in the moment, but later they're like, something went wrong. I'm like, because you didn't see a perfection.
Yeah, we try to tell them, it's the low hanging fruit. Let's do a little bit better than that. We can do something that's a little bit different, a little bit more effective for sure.
Have you had any like wins or like moments where like reminded you about why you started this business in the first place?
Yeah, I think in the beginning when anyone starts a business, I don't know if you've had this experience or maybe anyone you've talked to previously. You have a level of imposter syndrome where you're like, "Am I really good enough to do this? Like, should I be doing this? This is crazy. What am I thinking?" And then, so when I left my last place, I'm like, I don't know if I have any patience. I'm just starting from nothing. So I guess we'll just see what happens. But what was cool was when I started, I actually had a number of patients that I used to see at my last place that reached out to me, and they wanted to still see me for their chiropractic care and for whatever care we were doing before. So I truly appreciated that because in that moment I found some peace in knowing, okay, well, if these people are still going to trust you to be their chiropractor and take care of them, then there's got to be something you're doing right. Maybe not everything is perfect. Maybe you don't have every aspect of this business operation figured out, but these people still trust you enough to, be their chiropractor and take care of them. And I appreciated that and it gave me the confidence to just say, hey, all right, well, we're starting somewhere and let's kind of go from there. And I guess another win you could call it is anytime you get a referral from, patients, and I think anyone in business, especially in our community with small businesses, getting referrals is almost like the, best form of flattery, because not only did someone appreciate your service so much that they appreciate it, but they appreciate it so much that they actually referred someone to see you so they can have a similar experience as well. So anytime you get and you kind of are able to reach more people with referrals and be able to do a little bit more, it's always I think something that you can kind of call or categorize as a win in a sense. So
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. That's always like a way to get out of the imposter syndrome. Like, oh gosh,
yeah,
I'm doing a good job.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay, yeah.
Like,
I was worried, but now I'm not worried, I guess. So thank
yeah,
you for
exactly.
helping me with that part of it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually got to experience what it looked like when you're in a session with Dr. John, and he really does go above and beyond by just going really personable with people. We did a content shoot together, so I actually wanted to know about like what was your experience with our content shoot together?
Yeah, I had a great time. Hey, thanks for doing that again. And I thank you to my fiance Dawn for participating as well and being the patient. It's
She was
just
amazing. Yeah, she was a great
yeah,
actress.
just another free treatment for her. So we're adding those up. But I'm sure it felt cool to you to kind of see your old stomping grounds. Small world. We can talk about it another time. But yeah, no, it was cool to be able to, because I have my own tripod where I might try to make my own content. And it's nice to have someone there to actually capture every angle of the office and kind of that personal experience of how it looks when someone's getting any type of treatment or therapy. Again, it's something that I'm trying to grow into, and content creation and seeing the way it can kind of put you in touch with populations of people that might have not known about you before.
Hmm.
So it's definitely it's a fun challenge in trying to create it, but I'm having a good time. So that was a fun, little shoot we did last week. So
Yeah, yeah. So what he was saying about having a small world was that when I was a massage therapist, I actually had the exact same office that he was. So he's in a place called Salon Lofts, which you have like individual offices where you can rent. And so when he's like, "Oh yeah, I like this is my office," I was like, "Oh, what a small world! That used to be mine."
yeah,
So like I was
it's a
like,
house
"Oh, I
that
know this
Vanessa
room
built.
so
Yeah,
well."
I'd say it's the house that Vanessa built.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true.
I'm just happy to have it now.
You have transformed it really cool. You have like a really cool like neon sign with your name on it. Also, what was like I usually always ask people like, oh, like what was the reason why you named your business? But your business name has your name in it. So was there anything
Yeah.
like behind that you're like that was very important to you?
Yeah, I mean, so initially I was just trying to go with like one of these like trendy names, like let's use something that has a term that represents like chiropractic or movement or therapy or exercise or something. So I'm thinking about all kinds of stuff like momentum. How does this sound? And I'm like drawing out a logo, and then I'm like, no, not. Let's use something else. Let's use dynamic, or and all of a sudden you're just like going down a rabbit hole of all these random names, and then I stopped myself for a second and I was like, wait a minute. My last name starts with DC. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, which is a DC. This is probably a better place to start than anything else I've been doing so far. So, yeah, I kind of just went with I start with my name, D'Cruz Chiropractic Center. So we have a DCC as an abbreviation. So I kind of liked, a little bit of kind of how that came together. And then yeah, when it came to the logo that came with it, I just, I'm a big logo guy because I love sports. So wanted to find something that was sleek, smooth, and simplified. And yeah, that's kind of how they both came together. So I was super excited with the brand and the logo and how it looked after that.
That's cool. Yeah, no, so in his office he has like a sign that actually lights up, and we even worried about it when we were filming the content. He's like, I think it's gonna come off like super flary. You're not gonna be able to see it. You were able to see it. It went great. So, lights
Awesome.
on, lights off. It looks really cool. So I
No,
like that
that's
you had
great.
that
I'm
out.
glad. Yeah, it's a cool little feature. Yeah, we John helped me put up that accent wall, and then we thought about, oh, it'd be cool to have like a little neon sign here, and then I just kind of found one that place that did that and sent them a logo, and yeah, it was the rest is history. We have a nice little sign now, so super happy about it.
Good. You should be. It looks really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank
And
you. I appreciate that.
and yeah, and honestly, like it's definitely a room for one, but it's very personal when you come in there. What we did with the shoot was like we really got the full experience of basically Dawn as the amazing model that she was, where you like got to
For
see
sure.
him do the assessment to kind of, well, the assessment is more than just like on a paper. It's like actually doing the movements itself and seeing where
Sure.
your body
Yeah.
hurts and not hurts, and then kind of figuring out what the right treatment plan is for you. If it's just
Yeah.
adjustments, if it's
Absolutely.
adjustments and cupping or scraping, which I thought your scraping tool was super cool. I've never seen a heated one. Been in the
Yeah.
medical world for so long, but I've never seen a heated one. So I was like, mine are cold. So I was like, I'm always like, oh, sorry, touching you.
I
It's
still
so
have the cold.
cold.
I still have the cold one, just in case people like the cold. But yeah, the heated one's cool. I mean, that adds that little element to it that I think was good for that type of treatment. So
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of content or message are you trying to kind of share to your ideal clients?
yeah, I think a little bit of everything. So I do enjoy, kind of taking some clips of the office experience and what patients might see when they come in. Also the kinds of treatments that they might have, performed, when they're in the office. But also, I like to definitely do some educational stuff too when I get the chance, just to kind of give people an idea of the why behind why we're doing what we do,
Hmm.
because you can always see videos of people getting cracked and it's entertaining, and we love that stuff, but at the same time, there's always like a purpose of, okay, well, why do I need to go get this done, and why am I going to go see this guy to do it? So they're giving people a glimpse of kind of the thought process and the philosophy of what you're doing as well. And then, of course, we like to, have some funny ones. We see a lot of, spoofs and stuff that people are posting now on the, different social media platforms. So, everyone's a human, and we like to laugh and keep it light. I don't think I'm the funniest person in the world, but I think I can, maybe, strike up a giggle here and there. So we'll, kind of a little bit of a combination of everything. We'll kind of keep it moving towards that. So,
Good. Well, I mean, the best part of your social media should show your whole personality. So yes, you don't have to be the
for
best comedian out there, but as long as you're showing your personality,
yeah,
I think that's super key. And
absolutely.
Dr. John's business pilot reel will actually go out on Thursday as well. So you get to actually see like what we're talking about with how his whole process works. So you can actually visually see what we're talking about versus just seeing our beautiful heads. Or if you're listening to it on just the podcast, just listening to our awesome voices. But
Yep. The best part.
yeah, that's the best part for sure.
Mhm.
I did have a question though. What does it mean when you say you want people to thrive, not just survive?
Yeah, so definitely something that I think has become more popular and people have become more aware of over the years, especially in these past 5 years. And people, being sick and not and kind of going through, a health crisis where they're trying to all figure out ways to do better themselves. So I think when it comes to thriving, I think it's thriving is a concept of when you build a routine that's based on habits that have purpose. So when it comes to just the different aspects of why do you eat the foods that you eat, and if you're trying to eat well, like what's the benefit of that? You're eating well to make sure that you get nutrients and the proper fuel so that your body is in a better metabolic state. So why do you exercise? Because movement's good for you to make sure that you not only experience the benefits of feeling like your body is thankful for the fact that you're able to be alive and moving, but the fact that you're able to translate that health to something that's long term. Whether it's being stronger, whether it's being having better stamina, whether it's having better cardiovascular health. So there's a benefit to that. Why do you get good sleep? So you could, recharge, and you could feel better in between each day, and you could have the energy to go do the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And then, how do you manage your stress? If you're managing stress well, then usually, your body's in a good place and it will reflect that, and you'll be able to, kind of handle the different stressors that your environment and your life might throw at you. So when we're thriving, I feel like it gives us kind of a combination routine that gets us back to a good place.
Hmm.
And it's always not only in a good place, but it's headed towards what you want to do, which is be a healthier, better person long term that can do more. When it comes to surviving, it's not necessarily that you're good if you're thriving and you're bad if you're surviving, but I think we kind of sometimes get into a surviving mode because of the way that life can throw stress at you. and the way that you kind of are, sometimes scrambling to find a response just to stay afloat. So, when we get thrown off a routine and all of a sudden, we don't have the time to go exercise and we're climbing away at work and it's building up stress. And then we're just kind of, trying to take a convenient option of what we eat and then we don't sleep at all. And all of a sudden we're just hoping to get from one day to the next. And all these things are happening at the same time. And, it's, generating all kinds of inflammation, all kinds of poor stress response. And then, at that point, we're just surviving. So when I have my approach for what I do with patients is we want to, focus on it from a movement perspective. So when someone comes in and they're having pain and inflammation, we definitely want to help get them out of pain and inflammation, but we also want to kind of figure out why that's happening in the first place. Besides the fact that maybe if it was a trauma or an injury, what kind of habits and routines do we have right now that are maybe contributing to why this has become an issue? And what do we need to do to kind of move away from that and toward something that's in a better place? Get somebody out of pain, but help their body start to also learn to be confident in getting movement again and being able to, because I feel like when people can start to move better, all of a sudden they're feeling better and then they can do more. I can't fix everything that happens in someone's life, but if I can focus on it from my lens, which is as a chiropractor, how do we, help them with their pain, but also help them to be confident in their body's ability to handle stress and the things that come later on in life, then I think that we're, doing something that's helping us generate a shift in thought process from just surviving to thrive. So again, it's a stepping stone. We don't fix everything all at once, but we do try to lay the groundwork for, doing some better stuff later on and, letting people be able to do more with their life. Because at the end of the day, I think there's no perfect science. I'm not the routine expert that's going to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it.
Right.
I think everyone has different things that work for them, but it's just about giving them an avenue to try to get back on track and then try to start moving, towards a place where they can do better overall. I hope that was, I know that was a lot, but I hope that
No,
answered
but
it.
no,
It's
it was
something
very
fast, but
fascinating, actually.
yeah,
No. So it's more about kind of like finding the root cause of like what's
yeah,
happening and
absolutely.
then be able
Yeah,
to like maintain it.
for sure, for
Okay.
sure. And like I said, for me, it's like I can't fix everything in somebody's
Right.
life. You might know about all these factors that they have going on, but most of the time when a patient's coming to see you or a patient's coming to see me in my office, I'm looking at it from the scope of, okay, this is, what's going on with what I can help with. How can I help them with this? And then how does that translate towards kind of focusing on, building a more well-rounded approach so that, they have an avenue to kind of step off and, take some, steps in the right direction.
Oh, that's really cool. I honestly didn't really know much that would go around with that. I like how you explained it. I think you explained it really well.
Yeah, yeah. Again, and someone else might have a different type of way of seeing it, and that's kind of just what I've experienced in talking to people, and kind of figuring out my own routines in my own life.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm no expert on it. I think we're all trying to figure out things that work for us and that make us go. Especially me now, doing this compared to what I used to do. We all go through these changes and circumstances change, so it's just about how do you find things that can kind of recenter it and get it back to where you're heading the right way.
Right. And also this is your story. So we want to know about how you're doing it and
For
helping
sure.
your clients. So yes, not everyone's the same, which is good. We want the whole point is it's mostly what you do. With that being
Absolutely.
said, like what is upcoming with your business? Is anything coming up? Or I know that we talked earlier that you said that your model was your fiance Don. So obviously you're getting married soon. But besides
Yeah.
that, what is like how about things in your business, not necessarily just your personal?
Yeah, no, that's a fun time in life, of course, and we're super excited about that. Yeah, and when it comes to business, we're just trying to I think we have a couple of weeks until school starts up again, so we're getting everyone back from vacation and making sure the families that are coming in are settling back into their routines and they're helping them in whatever capacity we can do that with. Yeah, of course, just trying to have some more networking opportunities with other groups and other businesses. I believe that there is a 5K at UNF September that myself and a couple of other offices, former colleagues that I work with, we're going to be doing adjustments and treatments for some of the runners there. So that's going to be a
Cool.
fun time. And then yeah, just again, just continuing to share content, meet people around me, just continue to try to just maintain whatever direction we're going in, which is it's coming up on a year, and considering where we started, I think things are we're just going to continue to keep doing what we can in our community to help everyone on the best of our ability. So.
Awesome. And with like the services you do you mostly have just kind of like like treatment plans? Do you do kind of like memberships? How do you work?
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything. So it's all self-pay, and that's just because I like to remove the hassle of the insurance companies and telling us what we can do and what we can't do with people.
Mhm.
It gives them more of a freedom and ability to be in charge and control of their own care, but also gives us the ability to treat with no strings attached. So we do per visit plans when it comes to just if you're getting regular chiropractic visits that we add in and combine that with some assisted stretching and some Theragun treatment that we might do. And then we have more specific rehab and therapy exercises where we'll actually be able to utilize more of our soft tissue techniques in combination with chiropractic treatment. And we'll basically, be able to kind of give it more of a complementary and a cohesive approach to trying to figure out what can help that person that we're treating. So, and yeah, we do a per visit. We also, have some options where we might bundle some visits together in a package, which makes it a little bit more efficient for people to come in for care more regularly. And then we also have some plans where, depending on frequency of care, those might make more sense for you as well to help make sure that the cost makes sense, but at the same time also that we're able to give you some consistency with the treatment that you're getting to.
If you guys are in the Jacksonville Beach area, Nocatee, St. John's area, definitely go check out D'Cruz Chiropractic Center with Dr. Jon. We had a wonderful conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being here. You also can check out our Instagram, the Why We Started podcast. His business highlight reel will go out tomorrow, so you'll get chance to really see the visuals of what he is doing in his office so that hopefully you can go check him out and really get experience of his amazing personalized chiropractic care. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me too, Vanessa. And thank you again for doing this for all of us, the other businesses that, you've worked with. It's truly an awesome thing. And I can't wait to see where it goes. So, keep doing the awesome things that you're doing as well.